Hey everyone, it's Aislinn here. We are the evening of February 28th. I'm about to head to bed, and I thought, well, you know what? I should probably film my wrap up. I almost didn't even want to do this video. February had some really high highs, and then, man, it had some really low lows. So you know what? I'm gonna get into it. I'm just gonna do it, and it is what it is. I'm warning you, I did not meet any of my goals this month. Um, yeah, it was a thing. So, I started off with Serpent and Dove. Absolutely fell in love with it. Jumped right into Blood and Honey. Those took me way too long to read. So I looked at my calendar and was like, huh, month is almost half over. I have a butt ton of other books I need to read. So I didn't jump into Gods and Monsters like I had originally planned. I was like, you know what? I will go on and try and finish maybe some other books and then come back to the third book here. So I picked up Hunted. I read about 3 chapters and I wasn't feeling it. I just wasn't feeling it. So I was like, okay, you know what? Put it down. Just put it down. Come back to it when there's time. Because I know I like that series. Obviously, I'm not in the mood. So I'm not going to DNF the book. I'm just going to put it aside. And I thought, you know what? Maybe it's a fantasy thing. Maybe it needs something with a slightly different twist. Picked up Lord of Illusion. I will put a picture up here somewhere. Boy, I thought Lady of the Storm was bad. I DNF'd that really quick. I think the world, fantasy-wise, is still fascinating, but the romance was the most. I don't mind soulmate romances or fated lover romances. I am not the biggest romance person, so I am probably not the best one to take, ideas from or, take too seriously about romances. But for me, because I don't like romances, I know what works for me for romances. They are very specific tropes. Usually enemies to lovers, depending on my mood. Anything light and fluffy, or fated one, soulmate. Those are ones that if I'm going to read a romance, that is what I'm going to like. And it just did it in such an inherent, convoluted way. Catherine Kennedy is still a good writer, and I'm sure for somebody it would have worked. And then I even thought, am I misremembering how much I liked the first book? Because books 2 and 3, which I have now tried to finish over the last few months because I've had that series for 7 or 8 years. It's literally the oldest book on my Kindle. Am I misremembering the first book? So I downloaded the first book, Fire Lord's Lover, started to read it, and was like, okay, no, Fire Lord's Lover is still good. It's still how I remember it. I still feel about it how I remember it. I did not want to reread it, so I, took it back off my Kindle, and was like, okay, so it's not my taste has changed. It's just obviously something in these last 2 books is just not my thing. So I DNF'd it, and then I was like, okay, you know what? I'm gonna pick up Helm of Midnight, dark fantasy. It's still fantasy, but darker than anything I've been reading. It's certainly not a YA fantasy. And DNF'd that pretty fast. I think I made it about 3/4 of the way through, and it was just not for me. I couldn't do it anymore. And I tried physical and I tried audio. The audiobook is phenomenal with the actors, but I just couldn't. And I was like, you know what, I can't get this story. Like, it's not clicking. And I've read 3/4 of this book. I cannot bring myself to finish it. I DNF'd it. And then I was like, well, I don't want to go back and read Gods and Monsters now, because now I'm in a bitchy mood and I'm in a reading slump, and I didn't want my bad mood to taint the 3rd book of a series that I'm enjoying. I was like, okay, I need something to break me out of this. So I started Skyward by Brandon Sanderson. Bad idea, because as much as I'm really enjoying this book and as much as I'm loving the characters, it did not get me out of my reading slump. So at that point, I am going to go back to this. I'm enjoying it enough. I'm going to go back to it, and I'm going to finish it. But again, it was just something I was not in the mood for, and I was like, okay, I'm done with YA for a minute. I'm done with fantasy. The sci-fi aspect of this really grabbed my attention. So obviously, I burned out on fantasy. Let's try some sci-fi. Let's put this down so I don't hate it. And because obviously I'm not in the mood for YA in general. Maybe it's a YA thing. So I picked up the manga for Captain Harlock. Now, I am a massive Leiji Matsumoto fan. I think I have seen just about all of his series. Shouldn't say that. Galaxy Express 999, I have not finished. I am very slowly making my way through that on Crunchyroll, but it has a lot of episodes. Captain Harlock is my favorite character in all of the Legiverse. So, and I have just about everything of his that I could get. So, in North America. So I was like, you know what? I'm gonna pick up the manga back up. I had the first volume for quite a while, had to track down the rest of them, so that took for a few days for Amazon and Chapters to get my copies to me. Binge read this, like all frickin' 10 volumes of it. And I will say this particular manga, Leiji Matsumoto helped write. However, it is not his art style. So if you are more into his stuff because of his art style, this might not be for you. But if you like the story and the style of writing, then this is for you. Some bad reviews were complaining too much about the art style, saying how it didn't feel like him and blah blah blah. I could look past the art style. It actually grew on me, and I was able to just enjoy the story. So yeah, I read a lot of manga. I need bigger hands. I'm just going to show off all these covers because they're stunningly beautiful. That's why I'm going through these very slowly. Anyway, amazing manga. Love it. Love the story. It has everything about Harlock and the Legiverse that I love, and it has all kinds of Easter eggs from the CGI movie to very lesser known stories like Cosmic Warrior Zero and all of that. So that made me very happy. That got me out of my reading slump. However, there was 3 days left of February by that point. So I was like, you know what? I'm gonna binge read so I can at least finish 2 more books because they're small. The Wicked King. I was listening to this in audio and physically reading it. I still am. I am halfway through Wicked King because my reading plans went to shit. Not because I didn't want to read, but because fucking life. So I will be in March finishing Wicked King finishing Queen of Nothing, and finishing Gods and Monsters. That's the plan. And I will probably retry Hunted again. If I can't get into it the second time, this one, then this is where I'm ending the series, which is sad, because I really like Atticus. I really, really want to like these books. But I'm going to give it one more try now that I'm no longer in a reading slump, and I'm no longer bitchy, and I'm no longer grumpy about reading bad things. So, March, I'm not going to probably put out a TBR video at this point, just because I want to play a little bit of catch up from books I meant to read this month, and that might take me through most of March, so I have yet to decide. But anyway, yeah, that's how my February went. I have set goals for myself, for things that, because if I don't set goals, I won't do them. I won't do anything. But I'm not so strict on them that if I'm just because I am a mood reader, if I am just burnt out on fantasy and my TBR is fantasy heavy for a month, that I'm not going to switch up to sci-fi. Or if I'm burnt out on sci-fi or YA, that I'm not going to switch out for something else. Because I don't think it's fair to DNF books or not give them a chance because I am not in a particular mood for them. So I will always give a book at least 2 tries, because I am a mood reader. If I can't get into it and I put it down and then come back to it later and still can't get into it, then I will more than likely DNF it, but I will not, generally not DNF something on the first go. Even Helm of Midnight. I've tried 3 times to read that book. This was the 3rd time, and I got 3/4 of the way through and was like, nope, I'm done. The only one, I'm not giving Lord of Illusion a second try. It just took everything I hated about the second book and amped it up to 100. So yeah, for me it's not even worth it. I don't know if I'll read anything more by Catherine Kennedy. Like I said, I think she's a good author. I like her world. I still love, from the bit that I reread from Fire Lord's Lover, I still like that book, so I will keep it, but the other 2 I've already deleted. I don't know if I'm going to waste my time with more. I'm not that heavy into romance, so that's a rant. Yeah. I am going to go to bed because I slept all of maybe 3 hours last night. Just personal things. And that's that. That's where February ended up. So I will see you all definitely for March's wrap-up. Might see you for a TBR in a few days if I manage to get one figured out, that I think is worth sharing. So yeah, that's it. Y'all have a good one. Stay safe out there, and later.